Welcome back to the Mark Faris Experience. I'm your host, Mark Faris. Today, we're going to be talking to Daniel Mackie. Daniel runs a company and oversees 15 people. He runs Greenleaf Pest Control. And so he services the Greater Toronto area. Daniel not only built this company, but he has a lifestyle that he's able to balance with. So we're going to dive into how he's able to juggle and make it all happen. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mark. It's a real pleasure.
So Daniel, we've had many conversations through the years about business and family and all the rest of it, but you know, I don't think we've really talked about like that origin story. So maybe we could go back and you can share, the beginnings of getting into business and what made you want to get into business for yourself.
It's a bit of a story, and it's going to take it's going to take a couple of turns. And again, it's truthful. I wish I could kind of tell you, I fell in love with this industry, and it just kind of fell into my lap. But it really is a bit of a story, and so I'm going to kind of start. I'll take it kind of from the top, and you can really get to know kind of who Daniel is and how the heck did you end up, killing cockroaches for a living. And so it started off, I went to school, and originally I went to school for fish and wildlife. I wanted to be a game officer or a conservation officer, drive around in ATVs and boats and, catch poachers and bad guys and, spend my summers outside, helping people, and really kind of protecting the environment and the public. And so that's kind of where I originally started. So I went off to Fleming College, and I remember we were sitting in an entomology lecture. And so for anyone that probably does or does not know, entomology is the study of insects. And so I'm in this entomology lecture, and the professor's going on. And then halfway through, he says, who thinks they're going to get a full-time job out of school? Well, I mean, that's why you're at school, of course. Listen, there's no government jobs anymore in fish and wildlife and as conservation officers. Those jobs just don't exist. Like, that's the dream job. Are you bilingual? I'm thinking, well, no, I'm not bilingual. Not French and English anyway. And do are you a minority? And all these kind of things he rhymed off. And he goes, the government's changed and the environment isn't as important. And so you may get temporary jobs. You may get, tree planting jobs in Northern Ontario filled with bugs, or you guys got to start thinking of realistically of what path you're going to follow. Well, like, I went to school here. This is my passion. What do you mean? You just crushed my dreams, like, just like instantly. So I remember after the lecture going down and speaking to him and going, okay, well, what am I going to do with this bogus fish and wildlife degree then? And he said, well, Daniel, in pest control, and we have a pest control program, there is a full-time job, full benefits, company vehicle, and they're chomping at the bit to get people to come and work. Amazing. Like, you speak in my language. I'm going to get a great job, full benefits company. Like, who doesn't want that? Like, that's, I'm whatever, 19, 20 years old. It was amazing. So sure enough, I changed my studies. I had to call home, tell my mom. And you can imagine, you call your mother, you know, uh, kind of say, hey, by the way, I'm going to be the bug guy. And she's like, no, absolutely not. Unacceptable. No, like, you're a bright young man, like, go do something. Absolutely 100%. That's not going to happen. And so, uh, you know, I thought I really wanted a job, and I didn't want to waste any time. I really wanted to make money. And so, plug away, finish my studies, and got a job out of school, of course, full benefits, company vehicle, rah, 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 lots of overtime working with a really phenomenal pest control company. I mean, I was very, very, very fortunate. Um, we were like family. I learned a lot. We were the upper echelon of pest control, and it was great. Learned a lot. And then sort of reality sets in, and you start to realize that I am just sort of a blue collar kind of bug guy. And whether it was lack of, uh, I don't know, let's just call it, maybe I wasn't so self confident. I just figured I would never be able to kind of build a life, get a great girl, being the spray jockey, bug guy exterminated. And I was almost kind of embarrassed being the bug guy. You'd get called Captain Cucaracha, Rat Man, everywhere you went. And I was like, I can't have this anymore. Like, I got to change my life. And so I quit the industry. Went and finished a degree in business, and I ended up getting a really great job with a large telecommunications company as a white collar, wear my suit and tie every day. Hey, hey, look at me, I'm the man. Like I made it. Now I'm driving to work, and I got this great life, um, years kind of go by. Suit and tie, lots of vacation, great money, living my best life, honestly. And then comes my beautiful wife, Sandy. She comes in, she happened to work for the same telco. We meet, fall in love, everything's great. We ended up leaving, traveling to Thailand for a little while, come back. Yeah, we still like each other. We kind of, yeah, you still like me, I still like you. Let's continue on this relationship. Um, Maybe I tricked her a little bit. I don't really know, but um, we ended up deciding to have a family. Off she goes on maternity leave. And I realize this white collar, like this working in a corporate office really isn't for me. I learned a lot. I am forever indebted to the people that have kind of guided me along my way. But I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I think I want to get back into pest control. I got the girl, like I kind of, I'm good. Like she can't break up with me now. She's pregnant. Where is she going? So and so sure enough, I call
Yeah.
her. She's at home with the baby. And I said, honey, listen, I'm going to quit and I'm going to start my own business. And she's like, well, we have no money now because like I only get 50% maternity leave. You're quitting your full-time job. And I said, yep, that's right. And you know what? We kind of did a quick sort of analysis of, financially how it was going to look. Small business case made sense to both of us. What was the worst that was going to happen? Honestly, I could always kind of go back to my back to my project management role. I could do, there's lots of jobs out there, but my passion really was the bug business. And so Sandy with a baby in her lap, Mark would be making phone calls through the yellow pages. I mean, that's how old we are. I mean, yellow pages, flipping through the book, going, I'm going to call this business, that business. And she called these, and then I would drive down if they gave us a chance to audit their pest control. I would drive down to the grocery store or whoever it was, and honestly, walk in there and try to earn their business. And we got our first yes, which was unbelievable. This is back in 2008. I had a 1996 standard green Ford Ranger pickup truck, and off I go with, tools in hand, and off we went from there. And, still to this day, we still have the two original customers that Sandy sold, with my son and her sitting in her lap, kind of in bed, and we still service those customers today. So it's been quite the journey. So there's a long-winded story of Daniel and Greenleaf Pest Control.
I love it. I love it. And so there's a couple kind of key insights that I got. I mean, one, you found a niche, right? And it kind of brings me to this whole idea with a lot of kids coming out of high school. It's like I want, to take this university degree and I'm going to go get a white collar job. But the reality is you get to the end of it and we have a lot of these, PhDs, MBAs that are applying to our companies that are front level jobs that they're applying for. They realize that maybe their degree that they were going for isn't actually relating to a high amount of value in the marketplace. And so you found like a blue collar job, but then, you made it a business. And I think there's a lot of industries like blue collar businesses, like the trades, where there's just huge opportunity for that. But you realize that it's interesting. He's like, I got the girl, but the reality is that those blue collar businesses, they can be phenomenal income generators, right? Especially if you create your own business, and that's what you probably saw that as you started diving in and building your own. So, Daniel, the other thing that I saw there as well from what you're saying is that your spouse was like super supportive at the beginning. Sandy was making those phone calls at the beginning at that early struggle phase. And so, relate a quick story for me with Joanna. Like we had just had our firstborn Matthew, and she just gave birth, and it was like within a week of being out of the hospital, we were both staging a vacant home with furniture and together, like hanging pictures, and we actually had to bring Matthew, our son, to that vacant home because she just gave birth, right? And so when you shared that story, it totally, like, it brought me back to that moment of staging that first home, because we didn't have any money to hire anybody to do it, so we needed to do it. And the point there is that who you choose as your spouse, I I'm not sure if you agree here, Daniel, but that's one of the most important, not only personal for your personal fulfillment decisions, it but for your business. If you don't have somebody that, regardless if they're in the business or helping out or not, but that they're supportive and they're saying, go conquer the world, and they're in your corner, to have somebody like that is, I don't know if it's talked about enough, but it's huge. It was huge for me. It sounds like it was huge for you too, Daniel.
I can't overemphasize how important that is, Mark. And like every good team that wins consistently, they have great coaches, and they have a great support, and that's all it's been. And as I get older, and as we get wiser, and as I look at some of the routines that we've established over time, it's been about family. It's been about prioritizing our time together, about our kind of love and our growing together as a unit. And in many industries, people tend to get involved in business and sort of leave their spouse behind, or get divorced, or feel disconnected. And there's lots of that. I mean, in every industry, pest control has a tremendous divorce rate. And why? Because you just get so caught up in, I think, the business and what you think is important, and then you leave the most important people in your life behind, or you take them for granted. So yes, you need to have a strong support system and cherish them, and continue to kind of foster those relationships and never forget them, and make them your priority every day.
Are there any things that you've done, like tangible, say, activities, or specific things that you could share with the listeners, as to, as you are growing and scaling your business, to, continue to, build that relationship, as there's stress with finances, and, you're getting clients yelling at you because, something didn't go right. Like, I mean, any business, there's always challenges that come up, but were there any things you did along the way to kind of help foster that relationship? Because you've done a really great job with that, and your business is super successful, and, your relationship is strong, and you have your, the boys, it's a great relationship with your boys as well, from what I've seen. So are there any things that you've done along the way that you can share with the listeners?
Sure. So right from the get-go, there's a few things. I mean, I think initially when you start a business, that it's going to involve every single day, 7 days a week. It's just the nature of the beast. You eat, breathe, sleep this baby that you're trying to make everything possible to make it successful. And I remember sleeping in the truck. I mean, I would be downtown Toronto, and we had so many calls or services, and there just wasn't enough hours in the day. We didn't have anybody, so I would bring a clean shirt, a sleeping bag, and a pillow, and I would sleep in the truck for a couple of hours. I'd find an underground parking, go in, wash my face, change my shirt, and keep servicing, and be 36 hours, 48 hours straight, 72 hours. We would just go, 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 go. And those are the sacrifices you make, and it doesn't make for a good family balance. And still to this day, my boys will tell you, do you remember when we didn't see you for like days and days on end? And I go, and they remember that. And they were so small. I'm talking like 5, 6 years old, or 7, 8 years old. And they still remember the sacrifices that were made, because they wouldn't see me, and they would be like, where's dad? Where's dad? Where's dad? I can tell you, Mark, that I built a system in place, and put protocols in place, and systems and checks and balances in place, to have somebody, sort of built-in redundancies, another Daniel, that could follow our protocols, follow the systems that we put in place, to then help me, and then alleviate that pressure, and do the work that I was doing, so that I could start to look at the business, or from up above, versus focusing on the day-to-day operations. And honestly, you were very, very instrumental in some of those conversations, Mark, when we talked about businesses, and really focusing, on the business, not in the business, and like the day-to-day sort of grind. And so but you couldn't just hire somebody out of the blue and hope that they would look after your company. It was building specific protocols, and a methodology that was easy to follow, that could get consistency from manager to or from me to the next service technician, to the next service technician, and all of the personnel, and even to the office staff as well.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good because I think and there's probably a lot of listeners out there that they're in that spot of before you implemented all those systems and procedures and protocols, like they're there and they're working 70 hours a week, and it's like I've been there before, and Daniel, I know you've been there as well, and it's not a fun place to be. You got the weight of the world on your shoulders. You don't know how to get out of it, right? You're used to a certain lifestyle. The business is depending on you. You can't take a day off. Nobody's there that's going to work as hard as you is what you've been seeing with people you're hiring, and it's like, so what would you say would be like the first step for somebody that's in that spot, Daniel? Like what would you say to be able to just take that next step when there's like they're working like crazy and they don't know a way out, and so they hear that about systems, but what would you say if you were to kind of like simplify kind of the first step there for them to, okay, do this? What would that be?
Yeah, I agree. Like you read a lot of books, or you hear a lot of like, let's implement systems and processes and podcasts or whatever you do. And like, okay, what does that mean? What would I do if I was to do it all over again? I would
Yeah.
probably follow the same sort of system. Let me get somebody in the truck with me. And again, this is my industry. And so,
Yeah.
in this home service based business. So I would get someone in the vehicle with me and job shadow, and someone that you didn't have previous experience, that you could then coach, that had all of the elements, great customer service and a good work ethic. You bring them in with you, and they eat, breathe, sleep with you, and like we say here, you bleed green. We're Greenleaf Pest Control. You drink the Kool-Aid, and you inspire them, you coach them, you motivate them, and they don't know anything else other than the Greenleaf way of doing business. And then this person starts to take over some of your roles and responsibilities. They give you a little bit of relief. Now, that doesn't mean you coast and you sit back and you sort of chill. You don't let your foot off the gas, because now you have a little bit of momentum, and now you've given yourself that breathing room. And this is where you start to say, okay, what do I need to do when I hire the next person? What is step number one? And you start to build those processes out. And so now with your free time, you're going to continue. You're going to start to build some systems and processes so that you have a generic, basic framework. It doesn't have to be crazy. We're not talking a user manual of hundreds of pages. It could be simply as when you get to the customer's door, you knock on the door, you hand them a business card, you smile, you shake their hands, and you make sure you put on your booties before you enter. It can be something as very, very basic as that, but that starts to create a really tight set of protocols that will eventually guide your company in the right direction, and subsequent employees, so you have the same leadership, the same consistent service day in, day out.
Gold. That was just so well said, Daniel. And one thing that really stood out to me there, what you said, is when you start to get a little bit of relief, because somebody comes in, you're going to be like, whoa, I got some extra time now. You nailed it. It's like, that's not the time to take your foot off the gas. That's the time to double down on your highest producing activities. And I think a lot of business owners, they'd get, oh, I got some extra time, and then they'll go to the beach, or they'll go, down the corner. It's like, you got to keep building up. And there's a good book that kind of elaborates on that idea, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. And he talks about like when you start hiring people, and so what Daniel was saying with the job shadowing is genius there. And we have a way, the green way of, this is our way of doing it. I love how you have that statement, like, we bleed green here. And so when they start catching on, they take some of your responsibilities. But what Dan Martell says is, when you start hiring people like that, you're basically paying them to buy back more of your time, not to go to the beach, but to double down on your higher producing activities within the business. And then that's how you really blow up a business and have more fun doing it.
Right. Totally, Mark. Because what happens when that person, if you just go get to the beach and chill, and great, like, I got some relief, I'm going to spend more time with my family and my kids, and of course you want to do that, and eventually you will get there. But when that person quits or is upset or something happens, then you have absolutely not, you're back, and so you really need to ensure you've got fail safe and that you've bought back that time, but that time is used wisely and appropriately, especially as a young startup business.
Yeah, no, that's powerful. That's really, really good insight, Daniel. Are there any like misconceptions about your industry, or maybe any myths that once you get into it, it's kind of maybe that's different than what you thought?
Yeah. Okay. So, totally. I mean, Mark, I think we all sort of picture the exterminator, the bug guy. We're going to come in with a spray can
Yeah,
and spray everything. I still love this industry. I mean this. 16 years later with Greenleaf, 29 years, 20 something, almost 30 years in this industry. I still love it. Like the day that I started, even though I kind of broke up with it temporarily. But I love it. And so the misconceptions really is we are truly protectors of public health. And I know you don't see the cape kind of like, hidden behind me, but we do. And from the restaurants that you eat at, we protect them against vermin. So whether it's rats, mice, flies that are in the garbage and then come and land on your food, we stop that from happening. Ticks, mosquitoes that kill millions of people and impact pets, we help control those and manage those. And, things like termites, especially, Mark, you're in the housing business, termites and carpenter ants that cause structural damage, billions and billions of dollars annually. Pest control is responsible for protecting that, giving people peace of mind. And so we really truly are the heroes next door. Maybe, not so glamorous because we got to get down and dirty and that's the business that we're in. But truly we are, again, protectors of public health and your best friend.
so this is so good because if I came and worked for you and I heard you just say that, that's a mission I can get behind, right? And so this is why it's so important. If you're listening to this, whatever business, even if you're like a leader within another business, is what is the mission? And when you communicate that to somebody new coming on, they're like, yeah, I want to be part of that. Yeah, that makes sense. And so it's your job to make sure that you communicate it, and you communicate it just like Daniel said it with enthusiasm, because that's how you get buy-in and you create what we'll call that a movement, right, towards building something up together. I love how you explained that. That was really good.
Well, and it's employee retention too. I felt it, Mark. I left the industry because I was just like, I'm the bug guy. I'm the spray jockey. Like I'm this guy that's really like below everybody, and still people sort of treat you that way. Oh, there's the rat man, and listen, it wears on you. It really does. So what we try to do here with our company, we have a technician quick fire meeting every Wednesday. We talk about values. And I always try to talk about wins, but really share that we are professionals. We are professional trades. We pay our technicians as professional trades. And it is really about instilling that winning mindset and that we are very, very, very valuable and that you are a skilled professional, and just constantly reinforcing that behavior over and over and over again, and that mindset that what you're doing is very important. And that you can share that with customers and that you can hold your head up very high and be proud of the industry that you're in. Because again, without us, a lot of people get sick and a lot of people die.
Yeah, no, and that's a real thing. And so you need that. And so a couple of things with that. One is like, if you're out there and you think that there's a niche that isn't super sexy, that's maybe one of the most profitable businesses you can get into. And the other thing, like you had said there as well, is like giving people, purpose, but that they're important. It reminds me a lot of, you said it so well, but Horst Schulze talked about how he instilled confidence in the frontline staff at hotels at the Ritz. He said that we're ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. So he gave purpose and importance to what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, and people they hold themselves different because it's true. They're ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen, just like your technicians. It's like they're saving people out there. This is what we're doing, because if you remove us, it's like this is what could happen, guys. And so there's a different approach than just go spray that or go do this is part of the job. It's like when they come in with that approach, all of a sudden they're looking for opportunities to be able to take it to the next level versus just doing the bare minimum.
Totally. 100%.
Yeah.
You said it very well.
So with your success, Daniel, and so this is where you've been able to be, from a physical standpoint and with business as well, being able to put in the time. So you built the processes and systems and you've grown through the years. Are there any like routines or things that you do on a daily or weekly basis that have helped you with your productivity?
Like 100%. I am very much, and I think I believe most entrepreneurs, most yeah, I would say that most people that run their own businesses, I think they have found that you must have a certain routine that you find to be successful. And so for me, yes, I am a creature of habit, very much so, Mark. And so, it starts off with I get up in the morning and I have breakfast. And it's always a healthy, high protein breakfast, no matter what. And part of that also, and I'm very proud to say this, and this is one of the most, I think for me, so a really great measure of success in the last 10 or let's call it 10 years, I have not missed making a breakfast or having breakfast with my family. And so I cook everybody a healthy breakfast. I make sure everyone kicks the day off right. And it's been amazing to sit down in the morning and make food for everybody and sit at the table and genuinely like have a couple of quick laughs, a conversation, and set the tone for the day for myself and for everybody else with my family. Again, creating that kind of winning sort of mindset. And it really starts with let's fuel as professional athletes. Let's fuel as a business professional, because let's face it, we're going out there to kick some ass, much like a runner would. And so are we. And so if you don't fuel properly and you don't rest properly, you're not going to win. And so that to me fundamentally is sort of the number one thing that I do. I then head off to the gym. I make that a priority every single day, and it's something that gets my blood flowing. Whether it's strength training, I've recently taken up Muay Thai, so a little bit of fighting, cardio, mobility, whatever it is. Again, clears my mind and gets me laser focused on the task at hand. When I get to the office, again, being the priority, my family, health and wellness, I then get to the office and I block off time. Now it's deep work time. I've blocked off that time where it's uninterrupted and I can get a lot of work done. Realistically, I'm only limited capacity mentally so far. So I give myself a 2-hour block where I sit down and get through all of my tasks and things that are high priority for me to get done. Then my office door opens or I come into the office if that happens to be where I'm going. And then it's, of course, then you sort of gauge it in all of the day-to-day operations and the day-to-day routine. Yeah, sorry, Mark, you got a question?
Finish
Yeah.
your thought here. Finish. Go
Yeah, yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, and then again, healthy eating, hydration. Again, you are the engine, and you got to, much like a high performance vehicle, you only put the best fuel in, the best oil. Same thing with your body. So you're going to take care of it inside out. I take time to walk the dog on a daily basis. That helps clear my mind. I listen to podcasts often. Unlike you, Mark, I try to read. I really try, and I make a concerted effort. It's a bit of a struggle, and so technology really is my friend. And podcasts every day. I walk the dog every day because you have no choice. They need their exercise too, and so I take advantage of that time. I throw in the earbuds and go for a nice walk and stimulate myself differently. Getting a little bit of exercise and also learning and kind of getting better at my job and at life as well. And then kind of wrapping it all up. Nighttime routine, eating well, and ensuring I kind of get relaxed, down regulate, turn off the phone and take some time just to kind of really truly unwind, think about what went well the day before, what we can improve on the next day, and get ready to rock and roll, get to bed at a reasonable time, and turn around and get a good night's sleep, and then fire on all cylinders the next day.
Yeah, and you could see by following this protocol, like you have a huge advantage over somebody not doing that. That just sets the tone. Now, when you are focusing for 2 hours when you get to the office and you shut the door, how are you able to keep that focus where you're not getting interrupted? Like, with you got alerts going and phone call and people knocking. Like, how do you create a bubble for yourself to have the 2 hours of quiet time there when you get to work?
So thankfully, again, I've got a great team. I've got a super amazing like team, and you try to you surround yourself with people that share the same vision, and they know. I mean, at this point in time, everybody knows, unless someone, again, I'll be honest with you, Mark. Like, I don't do neurosurgery, open heart surgery. If I'm not around for a couple of hours, it's okay. Unless we've killed somebody, or something's caught fire, or it's been mission critical. Nothing cannot wait for a couple of hours for me to do what I need to do. And that's a learned behavior, because I wanted to be engaged in every single thing. I wanted to know everything that goes on. Then I have the wrong, and again, like much a book that we've talked about many times, Mark, which is Traction, is the right people in the right seats. And so we strived very hard to put the right people in the right seats so that I can come in, close my door, and focus. And they know. And so they've all been told. We all know. I turn off my phone. Again, the technology is amazing now. Do not disturb. I don't need to answer the phone ringing. I don't need to answer all sorts of emails. I have a list. I know what needs to get done. If I don't get that done, then I can't have, it's a domino effect. Then I can't enjoy the walk with the dog. I can't go out and prioritize time with my wife and my family. And so if I want to have balance, this is my time and this is my window.
Yeah. And it's incredible when you set yourself a limit, like 2 hours. I have to get everything done within that time frame. It's incredible with that focus, attention, how much more you can get done than, intermittent working where you're, taking a text, you're taking a call. You could probably get a lot done within the 2 hours.
A lot. It's true. And I've learned that from my wife. I mean, Sandy was always, what she can accomplish in a couple of hours, I probably can't accomplish in a couple of days. And I was always wondering, like, how? She's like, I get rid of all the distractions. Just do it. Like, again, as a guy, we are not amazing multitaskers. We really are not. And I think that's why we empower ourselves with great women around us. We surround ourselves with great women because they can make us very successful, because they can just handle so many more things than we can. And I always say, I'm very limited. And so I put the right people and I surround myself with the right people to make everybody successful around me. And I will tell you that this time of just blocking everything off with zero distractions, because it can be something as simple as hitting Instagram, and before you know it, where did all those hours go? And was it productive? And do I really care that so-and-so is like, driving this kind of car now? Like, no. And I've just lost all that time in nonsense. And so really cut out the distractions, get down to business. And again, it frees up a lot of time for you to have your own personal time later on.
Yeah, that's really good. Now at the evening time, do you cut eating at a certain time before you go to bed, or do you think about that at all?
I tend to so I'm a bodybuilder per se. I'll call it like an amateur bodybuilder. I love the gym. I love working out. It's a huge part of my life, has been since I was 16 years old in high school, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was like a god, and still is a god to me, truly. I mean, so many great things came out of working out in my lifestyle. So it depends on what phase of life I'm in. I bulked up. I was in a bulk, so I was putting on a lot of muscle and tissue. I was eating like right till bed, like 10 o'clock at night. I'm eating a lot of calories because I just get all you do is eat, train, sleep, eat, like you're a machine. I stripped a lot of that away. I went into a cut, so I lost a lot of weight and fat, and then revealed kind of all the hard work and muscle that I had put in place. And so I kind of have a nicer physique now. I was off in Thailand. I trained Muay Thai. I didn't fight too much, but we fought Muay Thai quite a bit. So it dropped my weight even more. And I'm at the leanest that I've been probably since high school. I will like to go back into a bulk or a build again. So right now, do I really care when I eat? Yes or no? No. Because I'm almost 50. Well, I'm turning 50, this year. I limit my water intake late at night, Mark, because then I get up and pee all night long. And it's funny, but it's not funny because I'm like, man, I got to get up to go to the bathroom again. And so truthfully, I limit my water intake at a certain time. I drink a lot of water throughout the day. It's a big part of a healthy lifestyle, and hydration is very, very important. But at a certain time, I cut that out, and it's just more because I just want to get a really good night's sleep.
Yeah, no, it's so well said there. And you're putting in that's the thing, you're putting in the time in the gym, and that athletic part of it is like really important as well. So, and I agree with you. Like with the water thing, like, yeah, I used to drink before going to bed, but the reality with sleep wise is you like cut it earlier, and then first thing you do when you wake up, you drink. Like I drink like this, pretty much this whole big, bottle. First thing, bam, I'm slamming that back. I'll put some salt in and a little bit of lemon, and that like not only it hydrates you, but it gets your immune system going, and it's a really good kind of kickstart to the day as well.
100%. I'm the same way. If on my floor here, I had to get it. I didn't want this giant water bottle here, but yeah, I have a same thing. I drink a lot of water, very well hydrated, and same kind of routine. Whether it's electrolytes or just a little bit of salt, and yeah, stay hydrated. And first thing in the morning, it's my same thing. We have the same routine. See, like, yeah, it's so great. Get hydrated right off the get go.
Yeah, right on. What do you think? What do you believe makes a leader great?
There's so many things, right, Mark? Like, I mean, if I guess I'm gonna sort of kick it off, it really, I think it boils down to, with, first and foremost, honesty and integrity. I think you definitely, there's lots of scoundrels out there. There's lots of people that start businesses or try to start businesses, and yeah, maybe they're successful or not. But I really believe that honesty and integrity is really paramount, and that you can walk into a room and it's okay. It's okay to say no to people. It really is. But at least you can look at them in the eyes and make eye contact and feel good about yourself and go to bed with a clean conscience. And so to run a business that's again, to me, kind of the main thing is really keeping that integrity in place and being able to walk in. There's lots of other qualities, things like, being a visionary or being a leader. There's lots of things that we hear about it in different books and read. To me, again, if to keep it really simple, I mean, I think if you can really focus on your customer first, and make sure you're putting out the best quality product that you feel would represent you and your family, and represent you, and you can do that with honesty and integrity. I think those are really great, sort of qualities to just to keep it simple. I mean, yeah, keep it like that.
I think that's really well said, because if you can put your head on your pillow at the end of the night, and you still believe in what it is that you're doing, then you will be able to continue selling it. Because I think that selling anything, selling any business, when you're selling, is that you need to, half the equation is believing in what it is that you're doing. So if you start, we'll just say, shortchanging people, or we'll just say, cutting, we'll just say shortchanging people, right? You're not delivering what you said you were going to do. You're doing some crooked things. You stop believing in what it is you're doing. And when you meet with somebody, you don't have that same passion, and people can smell that, right? So I think that it's an investment doing the right thing, even if it costs a little bit of money, that will pay back in dividends, because you really truly believe that you are the best option for them, and what you're speaking is truth. So you'll believe in what it is that you're selling in your business all the more.
Yeah, totally. I mean, of course, you got, like, goal oriented, and you kind of got these, what I always call them, kind of like these business sort of type of terminology. Of course, you're goal oriented, and building strong relationships. I think that's sort of paramount in life, whether it's in business or just personally. And I think maybe, Mark, in retrospect, or kind of thinking about it, even having a little bit of humility goes a very, very long way as a strong leader. And I'm the boss, or look at me, I've built a successful business, and we tend to puff up our chests a little bit. And I think it's nice to listen to what people have to say, take feedback constructively, always strive to improve and be a better version of yourself every day. And so, yeah, the humility, I think, I would add that in as honesty and integrity, and yeah, throw in a little bit of humility in there, or a lot of humility, and you'll be a great human being, and hopefully it makes your business that much more successful.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's easy to follow a humble leader, right? So, yeah, really well said. So, okay, now an entrepreneur, they're listening to the show, they're starting to make, really great income. They have excess cash, so they, paid off any debt, and they have some reserves there, and they're thinking about investing. So, there's so many things that an entrepreneur can invest in today. I mean, with a real estate investment firm, Daniel, is like we have to go through 200. We got to say no to 200 different apartment opportunities to find like one that matches what we're looking for. But the discipline of that allows us to be able to give, exceptional return. So but the question here for you is, to help our listeners, how do you decide what to invest your money into with so many options available today?
Man, Mark, you kind of put me on the spot here. Yeah, because I'm a chase the shine. I'm bad. Like, I love technology and the shiny thing that I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I came home last night and I was like, oh man, we got this new software and it does this, this, and this. And I tend to chase the shiny objects a lot of the time, and it really distracts you from what's important. So, okay. Understand your market and what you want to do. I think that's really important. So what is it that your business is? What does it look that you're trying to accomplish? And then really understand that sort of niche and what's important. If it's real estate, for example, it has to be something that's real estate related, or it can tie back to real estate. If that's the venture, if it's pest control day-to-day operations, it has to be something that's relatable. So I'd say, kind of understand your market. If it's something new and it's outside of that scope that you don't know, then create a small business plan like you would have when you started your business back in the day, maybe. And create that business plan. Look at the numbers. Do the numbers financially, does it make sense business-wise? Is there a clear return on investment? Or are you doing Daniel Mackie? Are you chasing the shiny thing, going, woo, woo, this is so exciting, and I get caught up in the hype, and then I realize there's no money to be made in this thing. What the hell am I doing? I'm classic for doing that. So, looking at the numbers and seeing if the numbers make sense and what the return on investment is, and is there a payback, and how much time is it going to take, and is it going to detract from me doing what I want to do, my time, my family time, and having that as part of your sort of go, no go decision. Again, focusing on quality and consistency of whatever you're going to try to implement. So yeah, there's a few things like that, honestly, that I would kind of sort of consider. Yeah, Ken, whatever you're gonna do. Lastly, I guess whatever you're gonna do, Mark, whatever you're gonna deliver, is it going to have the level of service or the level of product that you're going to deliver? Is it going to be exceptional and going to follow the other brand and everything else that you've been synonymous for in the past? So I think of you, and I think of the Faris team, and I think of real estate, and I think, man, you're going to get a great experience from the client coming in to look at the book, from a simple showing to trusting in multi $1,000,000 investments. That there's a lot of you're going to get the Faris experience from one business to the other to the next. So if you're going to look at something else, can you deliver that same experience? Because if you don't, it will compromise your brand across multiple companies.
Yeah, that's good insight, Daniel. All right, so are we ready for the rapid fire? We got 3 questions here for you, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. Okay. I'm excited. Okay. Yep.
Okay. First question is, which book has had the biggest impact on your business or wealth creation?
I can't. There's no single book, I don't think, Mark.
Sorry. Okay, because I know you had said earlier about the book. How about a podcast?
Okay. No.
Podcast
There's not a single one, I don't think. Let's talk about traction. So here's the way I look at books and everything I do, even a conference. And I'm going to ramble a little bit, so sorry, Mark. But
no, this is great.
It's when I read a book or listen to a podcast or go to a seminar, am I better tomorrow than I was going into it? So am I learning something? Am I better today or after the conference or after the book than I was before reading it? And sometimes you go through a conference, you're like, man, what a waste of time. Like, I really took away very little. Sometimes you read a book, you're like, okay, I kind of knew that. And so having said that, that's how I kind of base what's made my life better. When I finished it, I was better than when I first started it. And I'm going to say, we've talked about this, and I talked about it already. Gino Wickman, traction. although we don't use all of it anymore, it was very instrumental, and we still use a lot of the terminology today. We still implement some of the strategies today. So obviously, years later, it's still a part of our business. So it was important, and I think that's a great book. Um, Pest Control, because I'm in the business, Malice Handbook of Pest Control. It's the Bible, produced by Purdue University and some of the best entomologists, biologists in the entire world. I use it constantly. Every day, I still pull out the book. I pull out my microscope. I'm still identifying insects, pests, all sorts of stuff. So that's the Pest Bible. Most of your listeners don't care, but hey, it is very instrumental for me. And my latest book that I've been working through and actually got through, which was I thought was a big win for me, was Never Lose a Customer Again, Joey Coleman. Again, I am in the business of answering phones, talking to customers, and relationship building. It is a great, great, great book. So I really enjoyed it. Simple, great book. And Joey Coleman, I've listened to a couple of his podcasts. Great guy. Lots of fun, high energy. Love this book. So Never Lose a Customer Again. Old school, oldie but goldie. Probably changed my life right from the get-go. As a teenager, was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Phenomenal book, cash flow quadrants and assets and debts, and it was great. And it really was a really great book that I think of often, and I still use some of the terminology, getting caught in the rat race, and so it was instrumental for me as well. And then, of course, another one that I wish they made the fonts bigger, because I got it in soft copy because I was too cheap. And I'm old, and I actually now had to start wearing glasses because of this book. I swear I didn't have bad vision until after I read this book. But Built to Last, James Collins, was a great book. And I swear, man, I should have spent the money and got the bigger font hardcover. It ruined my eyes, and now I wear glasses because of them. But great book, and still a classic.
Wow, Daniel, for a guy that doesn't read books, you sure know a lot of books.
Yeah, you know what? Yes.
It's like, I don't read books. It's like, okay, because most people, when they're done university, they never read a book again.
Right.
So, but you notice that Daniel doesn't think he reads a lot, but he knows all these books that he's implemented, throughout his life. But I just kind of find that ironic there.
Well, you're a big part of that, Mark. I mean, I remember you always saying that you're an avid book reader. You probably weren't early on in your kind of your hockey kind of early days, but you set the time aside, and it becomes a habit, just like going to the gym. I go to the gym every single day. Why? Because I don't want to break that habit. If I go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I don't feel like it today, you get lazy. If you make it part of your ritual, you make that routine happen, and you start to form those habits, and that's what happens. And so, yes, maybe I don't love reading, and I do struggle because I'm not great at it. But again, I know it's good for me. I know it's good for my cognitive function, and so I train my brain much like I train my body, and that reading, and a lot of that has come as an inspiration from you, because I said every time we get together or we see each other and we talk, it's always there's always some sort of talk about books. So thank you for torturing me and making me read, and making me a better version of myself.
It's good to hear after the fact that there was sometimes I feel like I kind of talk too much business or books and I start to geek out on it. But the point there that I wanted to get to was, I really resonate with what you were saying about, are you better the next day? And I think the big thing that I take away from books is exactly what, like, you're able to reference, and you use a lot of it in your day-to-day of what you took from the book. I think that there's a lot of people that will read books for the sake of reading a book and not for implementing. So when I pick up a book, for example, like, I'm hardcore, so I'll underline, but then I'm always looking at the end of the book, like, what are the main things that I'm going to pull from that I'm going to execute on right away. And I think that is really important. Any book you read, it's like, it's about the execution after, or what are you taking out of the book and implementing? Because reading a book for the sake of reading a book is not going to just, sure, you can get some cognitive benefits and, some high level thinking, but if you can take and extract and implement, that is, I'm telling you, this is extremely rare. Reading a book is extremely rare. A business book, extremely rare. But if you read to study and then you implement what you've read, that is, because I've spoken with lots of business owners and very few actually implement the key things that they learn in it. So that can be a huge differentiator to give you a major advantage.
Yep, absolutely. Huge. Good advice.
Next question is, how would others describe you in 3 words?
Well, I think at this far along in this podcast, you realize I like to kind of ramble. And so 3 words, I don't know. Okay, so I think I would like to, and I don't know how people would describe me, Mark, but how I would like to see myself and the words I would like them to use for me is sets high standards and I consistently kind of work to exceed them. I mean, and that's kind of a political kind of, jargon, but really, I'm the kind of person who sets very high standards. I like to push, I think, the boundaries of what's possible. Mediocrity for me, and I'll say this probably again, but mediocrity is a curse. Be elite. I think we can push to be better, and I don't want to be status quo. I don't want to be like everybody else. I value integrity and honesty. I mentioned it many times before. Above all else, I think honesty and integrity is really kind of a paramount, and again, humor. Honestly, lightheartedness, humor, mix it up, have a couple of chuckles along the way, and building strong relationships. And so I know that's not 3 words, but that's a way if one day when someone's reading my, I'm dead and someone's talking about Daniel, this is the way I would like them to see me, and the eyes that I try to portray and the kind of who I would like to be.
Yeah, no, that's good. So I got humor, I got integrity, and then I got, pushing the boundaries with high standards. Hard work will throw in there as well. So
sure.
Yeah.
That's how you're describing me, Mark? That's amazing. Thanks.
Yeah, that's exactly how I'm describing you. You got it.
Yeah. Beautiful.
No, I think you nailed it. And last question here, what advice would you give your younger self, or maybe just an entrepreneur that's going in business?
Final
piece.
Yeah, prioritize balance early on. Find that balance, really, truly. I mean, it's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of making money and chasing success, but really fulfillment comes, I think for me, fulfillment comes from that balance of health and family, and being able to kind of be a great dad, be a great husband, be a great humanitarian. And so it's not all about money and work. And again, we talked about it earlier on too, is, sometimes people, they only identify themselves as who they are, as someone that working wise, or my job, my work. Life is short, honestly. So go and find balance early on. I think that's really paramount. And relationships is what matters most. You don't want to sacrifice your kids in your close circle, and you want to be present. You want to nurture those relationships. And at the end of the day, when the business is gone or sold and you've made your money, a person that's going to be holding your hand, that's going to have your back no matter what, is going to be your partner and your family and your kids. So cherish them more than anything else.
Yeah, great advice. So if you guys that are listening need any sort of pest control, for me, having a guy like Daniel leading the company and hiring them, to me, is that's what you want. You want that kind of leadership. And when you reach out to Greenleaf Pest Control, you're going to get that, right? And you're going to get great customer service. And so if you're listening, definitely reach out to Daniel. The company name is Greenleaf Pest Control. What's the best way that they can reach out to you if they need any sort of services, Daniel?
Yeah. So honestly, just call. Okay. We have lots of technology here, but we're an old school company. We still do live answer. I mean, call. Let your fingers do the walking. 416-998-9473. Again, 416-998-9473. Call the office. You'll be in good hands. We'll take care of you. And again, if you want to speak with me directly for whatever reason, to say, hey, I was listening to Daniel on Mark Faris's podcast. He said to call me directly, and so they'll transfer you over to my voicemail, and you'll be in good hands with whoever you speak with. But if you want to speak with me, I'm very, very happy to talk bugs and help you out because I love it. So no problem. Call.
Love that. Yeah, and the website's greenleafpestcontrol.com as well. So definitely check them out. Reach out to Daniel. You're in very good hands. Daniel, this is phenomenal. Such wisdom. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, me too, Mark. It's again, I love to kind of share and inspire other people. And again, you've been a big part of our success in our life as well. So I'm very happy to kind of contribute and help out too. And it was my pleasure, truly. So thank you.
Yeah, right on. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to another show. If you like the show, please share and subscribe to the channel where we're building a community of up-and-coming entrepreneurs. And remember that the fastest way to build wealth is to build your business and invest in real estate. I love you guys.